Alright, so it's fall up here in the Northeast. I've been getting a lot of fall cleanup jobs. I have a landscaping business, and I've been doing fall cleanups for years. And as you can see, I've built up an array of equipment over the years. So this is going to be everything you need to know about fall cleanup equipment. So first, let me start off with there's three main types of blowers, because if you're doing fall cleanups, you're going to need a leaf blower, right? So first, you have your handheld blowers, which I don't have any that I use, but those are going to be basically your smaller blowers. Then you have your backpack blowers. You can see I have three of them here. I have a Steel BR350, a Steel BR800X, and then a Redmax EBZ 8550 there. And then next, you're going to have your wheeled blowers or walk-behind blowers. These are going to be your bigger blowers for moving big piles of leaves. You can see I have a 13 horsepower Little Wonder and then a really old 8 horsepower Little Wonder. So for backpack blowers, this one I got years ago. I don't use it much anymore, but I used to do a lot of smaller fall cleanups with that. It took a long time because obviously this is a smaller blower, and it works great, but it takes a while to get through a lot of these cleanups with a blower that small. Next, I have these two blowers. So this one I bought 2 months ago in the summer. The reason why I bought that one was because I was planning on buying a bigger backpack blower for the fall anyway, and then we had a big storm roll through, and I was doing a lot of storm cleanups, so I bought this right after the storm and did a lot of storm cleanups with that. And then this blower I bought about a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, and I've been doing a ton of fall cleanups with that. The reason why I bought that one was because I just needed another bigger backpack blower. I had another guy working with me, and I figured it was time to upgrade to another blower. So these two blowers, the Steel BR800 and the Redmax EBZ 8550, are basically both the top of the line blowers, right? That's the top of the line blower for Steel, and that's the top of the line blower for Redmax. This one I think is right at 600 bucks, and this one's right at 570 bucks if I remember correctly. So this one is slightly cheaper, but basically all the top of the line blowers are around the same price. So if you're looking at going commercially with fall cleanups, I would definitely recommend getting the top of the line blower. I don't have an Echo one here, but you can go with any of the top of the line brands. They should be all pretty good, but these things move a ton of air. You could move pretty big piles with these. They're great for flower beds and all that. So yeah. So then over here I have my walk behind or wheeled blowers. Obviously I have 13 horsepower Little Wonder and then an 8 horsepower Little Wonder. This thing has actually been probably the best investment I made for fall cleanup equipment. It moves a ton of air. I moved a ton of leaves with it. Obviously I bought it used, so it wasn't too expensive, and it paid for itself really quick. And really I would recommend this to anyone who's in the industry. I would definitely recommend you buy one of these. Because you can just move so much air with these, and it really cuts down your time you spend on each job. So like I said before, I bought both of these used. The reason why I bought these used is, in my opinion, these walk behind blowers are the best piece of equipment you could buy used, right? If you're buying any piece of equipment used, make it be one of these, because these things, they're pretty bulletproof. There's not really anything to go wrong with these. I mean, the it's basically just a giant impeller surrounded by a steel frame, so I mean nothing really breaks. Obviously you have your tires and those can wear out, but other than that you really are just left with the engine. So these engines are also pretty bulletproof. This one has a Honda GX390, and if you know anything about these engines, the Honda GX series is just a great line of engines. They're super bulletproof, they last forever. If you're buying it used, all you really need to do is just make sure it's got a good amount of clean oil in it, make sure the guy maintained it, clean air filter, all that stuff. It doesn't smoke, it starts right up. These things should start right on the first pull, especially because the impellers on these are pretty heavy, so it has a lot of momentum and it'll be spinning for a while. So if it doesn't start on the first pull, it's probably going to need a carb clean or something. But yeah, these things, I've never even had an issue with this, and you can see it's looks pretty beat up, but it starts right up on the first pull and blows strong. I've never had an issue with it. All I have to do is put gas in it, keep the air filter clean, and change the oil every season. So, and that thing has been great. This one, I don't count on this one as much as I do for that, I'll say that. But I really only bought this thing. He threw it in when I bought this one for 25 bucks. That's the only reason I have it. But I I bought it and I brought it home and it started right up. I had to do a carb clean, a new spark plug and all that, but it runs good, and it blows strong. So occasionally I will use that on some jobs. And then even more, I did have a 6.5 horsepower walk wheeled blower that was much newer and cleaner looking than these two. I actually just sold about a week ago, and I could put a picture of that on screen, but that one too, I've never even had an issue with that. And then actually over the summer, some guy was getting rid of an 5 horse walk behind blower, and that was an MTD machine, so it wasn't a commercial machine. But yeah, he was getting rid of it. He didn't know if anything was wrong with it, so I took it and brought it home, put gas in it, had oil, and it started right up on the first pull. So I put it on Marketplace and sold it for 200 bucks. These things are pretty reliable, so if you are looking at buying one of these, you can buy it used. And then really, if you want to go and sell them, as long as you buy it used and you maintain them well, they really don't lose that much value. I would recommend buying them in the off season, because once fall comes around, the prices just skyrocket. So a good example of this is my 6.5 horsepower that I mentioned earlier. I bought 3 years ago, and that thing I bought for 200 bucks, and then just last week I sold it again for 400 bucks. So, and I bought it in the summer, and then I just sold it in the fall, obviously. So I made money off of that. But yeah. So as far as buying the backpack blowers, I would recommend buying this equipment new, just because I don't like buying used two-stroke engines. It's a lot harder to tell how much wear they have, and in general, they usually don't last as long as a four-stroke engine. Even machines like this is technically a four-stroke engine that runs on two-stroke fuel, but I would still recommend buying these brand new. They're not too expensive if you compare them to these. I think these ones are like thousands of dollars brand new, when both these blowers, I think they're right around 600 bucks. But this one, even, I've had for years. I've never had an issue with it, but I had it since new, and obviously I maintain my equipment well. I put good gas in it, make sure it has a clean air filter, and winterize it every winter. So if you're looking at buying fall cleanup equipment, you need to ask yourself, where you're going to be using this equipment. So in general, if you're only going to buy one piece of equipment, make it be a backpack blower, because you're going to be able to use that in flower beds, and hills and flat ground, everything like that. Whereas these walk behind blowers, you can only really use them on flat ground. If you try and use them on a hilly area, they tend to just roll over, which unfortunately has happened to me a couple times, but those blowers are pretty bulletproof, so it didn't suffer any damage. But yeah, so I would definitely recommend buying the backpack blower if you are just going to buy one piece of equipment. Like I just said, the backpack blowers are great for flower beds, flat ground, hilly ground, everything like that. These backpack blowers are also good if you're working in a tight area. So if you have a lot of lawns that are really small, and not big open areas like this, I would definitely recommend just buying more backpack blowers, because with these bigger blowers, you don't really have as much control over where you're putting the leaves. They kind of just blow and they go wherever. So if you are working in a lot of small spaces, definitely recommend going with the backpack blowers. Now, if you have a lot of jobs that have big open areas, right, they have maybe a little bit of hills, but a lot of leaves, these are the blowers that you want to get. They can move a huge pile much quicker than these backpack blowers. I would even go as far as to say that both these backpack blowers combined don't even come close to how much power that this 13 horse Little Wonder blower has. So if you have a lot of lawns that are big open areas, you need to move a lot of big piles of leaves, those walk behind blowers are what you want. And you can even go, I don't have any here, but I know you can get bigger, like ride-on leaf blowers, where you just it's kind of like a stand-on mower, but with a giant leaf blower in the front. So if you're in the industry and you want to get one of those because you have a lot of flat lawns, you can get one of those too. Now, I will say a lot of people don't like these walk behind blowers when you're using them on, like, say if you just need to clear all these leaves, because sometimes they do leave a couple behind and it's hard to get, whereas a backpack blower, you can kind of just, move your nozzle and get get the leaf unstuck from the lawn. Whereas these walk behind blowers, it's a little bit harder to do that. So what I usually do when I'm doing fall cleanups is I have one person on a backpack blower and then the other person on the wheeled walk behind blower, and the person with the walk behind blower will mainly move the big pile of leaves, and then the person on the backpack blower will get all the little leaves that are stuck in the lawn. And then if you get a big pile of leaves, obviously this chute here, the output is really low to the ground. So I usually have whoever's working on the 13 horsepower blower get right up against the big pile of leaves, and then whoever's using the backpack blower blow the top of the leaves, because once you get a big pile, that's kind of too much for one of these blowers. They kind of start to rain back on you. They kind of blow up and over you, and that means that the pile's too big for one of these blowers. So what I usually do is just have one person blow the top of the leaves, and then this one blowing the bottom, and then move this shoot up a little bit like that, and then you can move a huge pile of leaves real quick. Now I also want to mention there's other pieces of equipment you can buy for fall cleanup, such as a leaf plow, and that you can put in front of your zero turn mower or whatever, and kind of just push the leaves as if it was a snow plow. Whereas these blowers, that probably works a little bit better and quicker than moving it with these big blowers. These big blowers will do it, but if you have a leaf plow and you can just push them, right, you have your zero turn mower and you can just push them away or into the woods or wherever, that's probably going to be a bit quicker. I don't have one of those, but I just thought I'd mention that in this video. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's basically everything you need to know about fall cleanup equipment and these leaf blowers. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. But that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching.